Yeah, Namaskar. Good evening, all of you. Uh, Welcome back to Swarrnim Talk. This is Deep Mehta, associated with India's first startup university, that is Swarrnim Startup and Innovation University. I'm working as a startup affairs and outreach head. A few days back, we have talked on scope of the startup in pharmacy, health science, technology sectors. Also, we had a separate talks on role of brand and research in startup. See, we are here covering the all elements of the startup, especially for the budding entrepreneurs, educational professionals, and the students, so that they come to know which are the elements which they have to consider when they are planning for their own startup. We have received the feedback, and as per that, I must say, our participants felt it was very informative and educating session. Students, budding entrepreneurs, educational professionals, and working professionals have joined with us during these last sessions. Today, we are going to talk on very important topic of startup, and that is legal, financial aspects, and company formation procedure in the startup. We promise you will take away a mammoth learning and important elements of startups and innovations conveyed by our eminent speakers here. Friends, successful startups are one that are driven by passionate entrepreneurs who are extremely focused on building unique solutions that deliver customer delight. While it is very important to have a strong focus on customers and the market, it is equally critical to have a good understanding about the basic laws, rules, and regulations that are applicable for the smooth running of any business. For formalizing a founder's agreement to safeguarding intellectual property to enforcing business contract, it is essential that entrepreneurs are aware and up to date with the latest laws, procedures, government rules, regulations for their business and the market. Here are some of the important legal basics that startup and entrepreneurs in India should be aware of before embarking a business venture. We would like to welcome Shri Mahesh Gupta ji to the Swarrnim Talk, and it is a real honor to welcome and introduce him for today's session. Gupta ji, we would like to extend a warm welcome to you for your presence.
It's my pleasure as well. Thank you.
Ji, ji. Let me begin with Shri MC Gupta ji's profile. Mr. Mahesh Gupta is a brilliant is having a brilliant academic record to his credit. He was one of the toppers among top 10 of the Rajasthan Higher Secondary Education Board and also of Rajasthan University. He is MBA in Finance of 1981 batch. He thereafter, while working with Calico Mills at Ahmedabad as finance officer, joined ICWA in 1982 and CS course in 1983 and finished both of them simultaneously in 1985. He has completed his LLB and LLM as well. He was requested to teach in 1984 the same class of CS in which he was a student. He played both the roles to perfections and has not looked back since then. From CS to ICWA and then to CA coaching, he has been his journey in teaching. In the last notable 30 years, he has prepared many students as excellent professionals. He is very well-known faculty at all prestigious management institute. He has also been invited to offer courses at Chitkara Institute of Management at Solan, Himachal Pradesh, and address various training programs for direct and commercial tax officers, Chintan Shibir of Government of Gujarat, police officers, etc. He was chairman of Ahmedabad chapter of ICSI in 1991 and then regional council member from 1992 to 1994. He was president of Gujarat Investor and Shareholders Association, one of the SEBI registered investor association, and was also invited on the executive committee of Gujarat Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We all know a world-class incubation center in the name of iCreate has been set up by GMDC and GEVPF, a Section 8 company. The center was dedicated to the nation by Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister of India, and by Honorable Prime Minister of Israel on 17th January 2018. iCreate has privileged of having Mr. Narayan Murthy as first chairperson of the advisory committee and Mr. Dilip Sanghvi, CMD Sun Pharma, as his successor. Shri Gupta ji is one of the promoter of GEVPF and founding team member of iCreate with other eminent academicians. Shri Gupta ji is practicing as a CS, company secretary, for more than 30 years and has been known for his quality work. He has been ranked first continuously for the third year. He is mentoring many new projects to the technocrats at IIM Ahmedabad, Nirma Labs, EDII, and MICA Entrepreneurship Program. He is key mentor at CIIE initiative at IIM Ahmedabad. He is also associated with many NGOs, the social organization. I would like to extend a warm welcome again to you, sir. And it is our real privilege to have you on board with us right now to talk on the very important part, that is legal, financial aspects and the company formation procedures for the organizations and the startups. Let me begin with my question. Sir, we would like to know which type of business formations and legal identities are there for establishment of any startup structure.
Yeah. First, I thank you, the Swarrnim Startup and Innovation University, for inviting me to have the deliberations and share my knowledge, whatever little I have, with the audience who are in the threshold of beginning their career as an entrepreneur. As far as the entrepreneurs are concerned, friends, see, the entrepreneurial journey is a very important journey. You may be in employment, but someday you think, then why I should not work for myself? Let me work for myself. Whatever dedication, hard work I put in, that does not go along with my efforts. I started my career after my MBA for 5 years. I was in employment for 5 to 6 years, initially as finance officer. Then I was working with a company as finance controller and company secretary in 1986. And I managed its IPO. Then thought that why I should work for someone when I can work for myself. And my entrepreneurial journey have the enterprise. I started the consulting. And that's the beginning. So once we talk about the startups, see, startup, every entrepreneur who is the first generation entrepreneur is a startup. Second generation and third generation has something to their advantage. But first generation has to put hard work. He is the officer in his organization, he is the clerk, he is the peon, he is the cleaning the office floor also, many times pasting the envelopes as well, because your beginning has to be humble. Therefore, what I say, see, the first generation always nurture an organization, develops it by shedding the, I'll say, the sweat, and also putting the blood into it. He enjoys it, working very hard. Second generation looks into the things what their father has already worked hard, has some connectivity, so they may grow the organization. And unfortunately, the third generation has been born with the silver spoon in mouth. They have not seen the hardship of the life. And because they had not seen the hardship of the life, therefore the downfall may start unless you go for product modification, organizational restructuring, professional management. Therefore, every industrial house or big business house, you will find 100 years, 80 to 100 years is the good span in which two generations to enjoy. And when the third generation is there, because they don't know the hardship, they are studying in foreign countries, foreign universities, their lifestyle is different. They do not know how to save the money, how to make the money. They know only how to spend the money. That is the problem. And then when you have two sons, you have to branch out, your wealth start reducing because it is bifurcation. There may be the disputes in future. Now we have to keep all these things in mind. from the beginning as the first generation promoter. Now, friends, the question what has been raised to me, that what are the business formations and legal entities are there for establishment. Before I go, see, I'll say that as far as the enterprises are concerned, the business formations are concerned, in social activities, you will find a business. And the business entities, you will find the social service. It's a contradiction. Many people are engaged in social activities and making money, which is not the motto. Many people are in business still engaged into social activities. That's good. It is like this. You can be a sannyasi while living with the family. That's much better than being a sannyasi and living like a family. That should not happen. Now, as far as the organizations are concerned, we can classify all the organizations into three broader categories. One is business, where we have to concentrate. Second may be the social enterprises. And the third is the mutuality organizations. Let me first go backward. Mutuality organizations, you have the cooperative societies, a group of the people you work for the welfare, for earning the money, for vocation or whatever it is, like cooperative societies. Cooperative societies may be, I'll say the cooperative societies may be the state cooperatives, where you enroll the members having the domicile from the state concerned where this cooperative society is registered. You may have the multi-state cooperative societies. There is a separate law, Multi-State Cooperative Societies Act. You can register in any of these two acts. Now, where you can enroll members, you can have the private mutual funds, even HUF, Hindu Undivided Family, I'll say it is the mutuality organization, because you are working for the family up to 4 generations out of the ancestral money and income earned out of it. And HUF could be a partner in a partnership firm, can hold share, its PAN card is different, and it is being assessed under the income tax like an individual. So you have the lower tax slab rates. If you earn 10 lakh rupee in HUF, then you have to pay like an individual 1,12,500 rather than 3 lakhs, 30% slab. So therefore, there could be multiple HUFs in business. That always keep in mind, because money saved is money earned. Always keep in mind, for all these startups, it's my fundamental, money saved is money earned. I don't advocate that you should go for tax evasion. But tax planning and tax saving is a legitimate right of an individual and citizen of the country. If we do legally well and legally plan, then you can save a lot of tax, which is your income, nothing else. Now, as far as the social enterprises are concerned, like we are talking about the universities, those are universities by the central law or by the state law. But we are also having the private universities, which are through a statute by the state legislature, state universities. Like that, we can have the NGOs, non-government organizations. As far as the non-government organizations are concerned, what we call NGO, but the proper wording should be NPO, not for profit organization, where your aim is not to make profit, but your aim is to do the social activity. And in the process, if there is some surplus, I don't call it a profit. I'll say the excess of income over expenditure, where a lot of tax benefits are also given by the laws. I'll say the Income Tax Act. You don't have to pay tax up to, if you spend 85% of your gross revenue on the charitable purposes, for charitable purposes. Charitable purpose is defined under Income Tax Act. You can have the ATG registration. You have to have the 12AA registration for any NGO. Most of the incubators, see, I create, which is also registered as a Section 8 company. IIT Gandhinagar has 2 incubators, which are also registered Section 8. IIM Ahmedabad has Section 2 Section 8 companies, like CIE Initiative, which is also a Section 8 company, where your object or objective is to promote art, science, commerce, charity, religion, sports, or any other useful activity. And you prohibit distribution of dividend, but only limitation that you cannot pass on any benefit to the members who are shareholders. That is not allowed, because the promoter should not take away the public funds which might have been collected through the donations or charities or the grants or from the public utility things. Secondly, you may have a society also, what we call society registered under Society Registration Act, or you can have a trust, public charitable trust. So these are the 3 models in which you can run an NGO. An NGO is a very popular term nowadays. What happens, whatever efforts the government could not complete, Those efforts are made or the inroads are made with the help of these, I'll say the social enterprises, NGOs. As far as the business is concerned, again, I'll classify the business into three things. One is sole proprietary concern, sole owner. I can have a sole proprietary concern. Sole proprietary concern is like your bachelor life. You don't have to ask when you reach home. Even if you want to have the night out, you can have. Nobody is going to question you once you are grown up. So sole enterprises or sole proprietary concern, informal way, you are personally liable. See, I'll tell you, if there is a loss into the business, you are personally liable for any loss. There is no distinction between you and your business. If there is a loss into the business, my all savings may be used to pay the debt of my business. Only two things for a businessman are very important. Number one, if you have the balance in the PPF account, Public Provident Fund account, that cannot be attached in any court order. So always have a good saving through the PPF. And under PPF, whatever you invest up to 1,50,000, that is the maximum amount also you can invest for, is tax deductible. It means your income is reduced to that extent. So I'll always advise you should go and invest 1,50,000 rather than NSC and other things. Secondly, it's tax, which is 7.9% at present, is tax free. If you gross it up, this comes to allow 11%. Bank FD, you get 5% interest, out of which you pay 30% tax. So your net income generation or interest income is 3.5%. Rather than, it's better to have the tax-free income of 8%, 7.9, which comes to around 11% tax-free. Thirdly, whenever this fund is taken, then it is again tax exempt. So it is EEE concept under the taxation we call. Secondly, what I was talking to you, it cannot be attached in the decree against any insolvency. Therefore, PPF balance is very important factor. For 15 years you can have. Secondly, shareholding in a cooperative society, that is also not attachable in the court degree. So these are the two things which you are always protected from taking away by your creditors if in business any eventuality happens. Now, friends, going to the second aspect, see, unlimited liability concept in my sole proprietary concern, the sole organization or sole proprietary concern was hitting very badly to some of the promoters where the business were prone to the high risk. Therefore, a concept of OPC was introduced from 1st April 2014 under the Companies Act 2013. OPC means only single shareholder. You are the sole shareholder, you have to nominate someone. Directors may be more than one also, but shareholder only one. You have to nominate another natural person as your nominee, that in case of your death, who will inherit those shares, he will be the nominee. So only single shareholder. So no general meetings are required. Things are easy. So if you want your business, see which one to take for. Normal business, normal proprietorship concern, very easy to start, very easy to close, but unlimited liability. Your personal wealth may be utilized for business losses. OPC, limited liability, easy to manage, but still difficult to close. There is no free lunch in the world. Always keep this fundamental in mind. If somebody is inviting you, giving something free, there is indirect way to take the money from you. Now, friends, here there could be the partnerships. In partnership, see, 2 or more persons join hands to do the business together and share the profits. Concept of the partnership, there is a Partnership Act 1932. And from 1932, prior to this also, under the Indian Contract Act 1872, the partnership provisions were there when there was no separate law on partnership. So it's basically an understanding or mutual understanding, I would say, through an agreement or contract, that you join hands to have a business together, share the profit and losses in the decided ratio. You can have a partnership deed, get it registered with the registrar of firms. You can open the separate bank account. You should have a separate PAN card. Interest rate, the tax rate is at marginal rate, 30% you have to pay, plus surcharge and all those things do come on. To avoid this unlimited liability, because the biggest hurdle in the partnership was, again, liability of each partner is jointly and severally. Jointly means you have to pay jointly to all the creditors of the firm, and also if one couldn't pay, other has to make it good. Then internally you can recover. Suppose we two people are there and we share 50-50 profit sharing, having the 50-50 loss sharing. The other person couldn't pay his part of the debt, then I have to pay 100%, then I can file a case against him for 50% what I paid to the outsider. So outsider is protected. My outside creditors are always protected. It's our internal arrangement through understandings. Very easy to start, very easy to close, but again, the risk is of unlimited liability because it extends to your personal wealth. Therefore, a concept again was introduced of LLP, Limited Liability Partnership. In India, LLP concept was introduced from 1st April 2009. And all small businesses, I'll tell you, are in LLPs now. Even most of the I'll say the consulting firms or even the chartered accountancy firms, big fours, they have started LLPs. Why? In normal partnership, you can't have more than 20 partners. There is a restriction on the maximum number, but on LLP, there is no restriction. Third is a company. You can have a private company or a public company. Public company, once you want to go to the market, list your securities, you may be listed or you may remain unlisted lifetime. Private company should have minimum 2 members. Public company should have minimum 7 members. And if I want to list, minimum 25% of my capital has to be offered to the public through an offer document, which we call prospectus or red herring prospectus. So then my shares got listed, but it has its own advantages as well as disadvantages. It's like this. See, to have a listed company, you have to comply with a number of regulations, dissemination of information, newspaper notices, which has its own cost, but it has its own advantage also. But you cannot expect right now. Today we say Mr. Mukesh Ambani is the richest man of the country. How do we calculate his wealth? It's the market cap of his shares, whatever he's holding. Suppose in Reliance Industries Limited, his family owns 55% shareholding. So what is the total share capital of Reliance? Suppose it is 6,500 crore, out of which 55% is with him. Now 10 rupee share is around 2,000. So 200 multiple. So whatever is the capital he has invested, face value of which multiplied by 200, that's his wealth in Reliance alone. Forget about other companies. So this is easy to calculate the value of a person, net worth of a person, but it has its own pitfalls as well because it is very costly. And when you are not doing well, prices may be dumped to the ground, then your entire wealth. See, the difference in Mukesh Ambani and Anil Ambani, you know very well. One has gone up like anything, another has fallen. So that's all share market. Now, as far as the private companies are concerned, we can form the private or the public companies through the MCA portal. From 2005, system is purely online, mca.gov.in. You have to first reserve the name, and after reservation of name, for which you have to pay 1,000 rupee. Name is valid for 20 days from the date of approval. Then you have to submit your application, for which you need DSC, Digital Signature Certificates. Now, after the DSC is obtained, see, every person who is going to become a director in the company, whether private or public or designated partner in LLP, should have a DSC, Digital Signature Certificate. DSC is a token which is issued by the certifying authorities under IT Act of 2000. So every person, now suppose I file my personal income tax return, I am subject to tax audit, then I have to file my income tax return also with the use of DSC. I don't have to sign my IT return manually, I have to sign with digital signature. So the use of DSC is becoming more and more important. The persons who are going to become directors should have DSC for applying for a DIN. So if you don't have a DIN and you want to become a director, for maximum 3 people with my incorporation application, I can take the DIN parallelly for 3 people, not for more. That's as far as the DIN is concerned. You have to have a memorandum, which is your object clause or the charter. You have the articles of association, which are your bylaws. You have the consent of the directors. We have to fill up all those forms. So online, you have to file DIR2. I have to file INC 21 for the registered office address. I have to take the declaration from the subscribers to the memorandum, which are minimum 2 in a private company, minimum 7 in a public company. So likewise, so many documents we have to have. If the declarations, we need a PAN card. For being a subscriber or director, we need our utility proof. That is my telephone bill in my name, or electricity bill or bank statement, which should not be more than 2 months old, or an Aadhaar card. So these are the documents what you need to incorporate a company. And Government of India through Ministry of Corporate Affairs has exempted that no registration fee if your authorized capital is up to 15 lakhs. Only you have to pay stamp duty, and in Gujarat stamp duty is 0.5% of the authorized capital, 0.5%. On 1 lakh I have to pay 5,000. Stamp duty I have to pay, but I don't have to pay registration fee up to 15 lakhs. But in future, when from 15 to I make 16 lakhs, then I have to pay the all difference. It means it is not the waiverment, I'll say it is the deferment. So once you are small, you are waived, you don't pay, don't need the liquidity as a startup, and then you can grow. Once you grow, then pay the difference to the government without interest. So that is the, so I can have a private company, I can have a public company, I can have an LLP, I can have an OPC. So there are different business organization, and informal front, I can have a proprietary concern or a partnership firm. So see, beginning always has to be humble. I don't say that you should have a public company from day one, because you never know what will happen to your project. My own experience with the startups, I say when we select the best budding entrepreneurs, it might happen the success rate may be 5 to 6%. Now 95 project may not be viable in future. You never know. Recently during COVID, many of the people have started their projects with the different things which are used, sanitizers and all those things, but it is a temporary phase, maybe for a year or two. Now, if you have a long standing or long commitment for such products, then you may be out from markets very soon, and there may be more players. Therefore, whatever thing we are planning for, that should be that should have the long-term sustainability, number one. It should have the commercial viability. Your product is very good, but this product is not viable at the rate at which you are having. And then you cannot sell in the market. There are no takers at this. Your product is very good. So there should be acceptability in the market, affordability in the market, and there should be something unique that it does not face, you do not face the competition much. Otherwise, what happens? Somebody will copy. And to protect yourself from copying, you should have the patent, or I'll say, you should have your own trademark. Then only you would be seen. Normally in inventions, we go for the patenting, provisional specifications, then the final specification. So then you are protected that somebody does not copy. Otherwise, somebody will copy once you are successful. So these are the various type of organizations which may have. Yes, we can go for the next. See, what is the importance of the founders agreement? As far as the founders are concerned, see, who are the founders? Founders are the people who I would say they are the promoters of an enterprise. Now, where there is a dispute, I'll say when there is a marriage, there is a divorce. If you don't marry, there is no fear of divorce. More nearer you are, the chances of dispute is great. You may have a good fight with your wife. You will never fight with neighbor's wife. You are getting me? So two brothers, two blood brothers, two real brothers are in the business sooner or later. When your father is alive, I had seen the cases where during the life of the father himself, there is a dispute between two brothers and there is a vertical partition with the bitterness that two brothers don't see each other eye to eye. I had seen the cases where there is a dispute between husband and wife. There are two directors in a private company house, husband and wife. After a few years, there is a divorce petition pending before a family court between husband and wife. Private company, you say husband and wife, why should I call the board meetings? Why should I hold the board meetings? There are no register of attendance. No minute meetings are taken place. Once the wife goes out from the family, she will not oblige you by giving the signatures on various records, by which whatever you have done during last 8 years, 10 years or 20 years without her signatures, without having the formalization of your organization, everything may be challenged in the court of law because she wants more, or she may want the more alimony from you. Therefore, it has the agreement is must. Even the partnership between the father and the son, or between the two, father, mother and the son and daughter, then also there has to be an agreement. Number one, suppose there is no dispute in future amongst the promoters or the founders. It's very good. I will say you are lucky enough. God has blessed you in many senses. But to show that what the understanding is there to the various tax authorities, various other government an agreement to avoid confusions, conflicts, or I'll say the disputes in future, or to have the disputes in future. It's always better to have an agreement. So founders agreement, which may be in the form of partnership deed, which may be in the form of the memorandum and articles of association or shareholders agreement, has to take place, friends. Clear? So that's our second question. Third question, when we go, why should the startup get registered as a company? What are the major characteristics? Or okay, so that's, I'll take up this as a later stage, Mr. Deep. See, what are the importance of founder agreement? My list is okay. So why the startup gets registered as a company? As I discussed, there could be n number of different type of organizations. I may run as a sole proprietary concern, I may run as a partnership firm, but the question is here, the very pertinent question, what should have, why should I have a company? See, what is the stages in which or through which a startup will travel with? I'll say you need funds. You may be incubated by an incubator. You may go to an angel investor. You may go to the venture fund to have the venture capital. See, you may borrow. See, from where do you get fund? You are the startup. You don't have adequate funds of your own. Therefore, you are banking upon the funds from someone. Once you are banking on the other funds, one is the loaning capacity. In the initial stage, any enterprise has lean borrowing capacity. Why? Because you have to give some collateral. You don't have the collateral. Secondly, in any lending activity, normally margin is deducted. If I buy a machine of 1 crore, I would be given a loan of 60 lakhs. 40 lakhs I have to infuse. From where will I bring this 40 lakhs? I don't have. So I am looking for someone who can lend his helping hand to garner the capital so that number one, whatever the deficit in the infusion of capital I have, that is met with number one. Secondly, I may have the lower interest burden so that I may be profitable in the first few years. So I'm looking for a capital. Now, who will infuse a capital? Who will bet on you? The person who has seen, either because you don't have a track record as a startup, then who will bet on you? Only the person who see good in your project, who see the light at the end of the tunnel of your project will take a bet on it. Therefore, you have to be presentable. You have to present it, look at the market, convince them. Somebody may come and somebody may really. Now the question is, see, I don't want to borrow because it has the interest cost. I don't have the margin money. Therefore, I am looking for equity. Now, what is the concept in the, I'll say the incubator? Normally, all incubators which are registered with DST, Department of Science and Technology, and being run by basically the universities or engineering colleges, IITs, IIMs, MBA institutes, or other colleges also. Now, they take up to 10% equity into the startup at the initial stage. Maybe 2%, maybe 3%, maybe 4%, maybe 5%, maybe 10% maximum. That's the trend. Now, they just take out of 1 lakh of capital with which you start a company, they may take 10,000 rupee shares. Their 10,000 remains 10,000. They may invest in n number of companies, but in future, when out of 100 companies which they invest like this, which they have incubated, Even if 5 companies have grown up and developed, and whenever any outside investment is received or foreign investment is received, you may be given an exit. And the funds, what you get, could be used for the purpose of nurturing other new projects. So it might happen in 95 cases, I lose money and 5 cases give me huge returns. But that depends what clicks in the market. So that bet somebody has to take. The bet has to be taken by the incubator, I would say. Now, my question is why the startup should be a company? See, once I give shares to the mutual funds, I give to the venture funds, or I give to the incubator, or I give to the angel investor. They are giving me the money. Whosoever is entering into the capital or taking my shares at an early stage, maybe at the lower valuation, gradually when I make more money, my growth chart is very promising. I have the higher valuations. Then for lesser capital, I collect higher money at premiums, at higher valuations, enterprise valuation, for which you can use DCF method, the projected discounted cash flow method, for issuance of shares to the new investor. And your old investors, like I'll say the incubator, they get relieved. Now that method is not feasible in any other mode. Proprietary concern, I'm having sole risk, I can't have another agent. No outsider would like to indulge into your business as a partner. Therefore, LLPs out from the startups, I'll say, or I'll say even the partnership is out of question. But the question is here, very pertinent question, friends, which I would like to share with you. That beginning, as I was talking to you, has to be humble. For the humble beginning, if I have a company and my project fails, unfortunately, then to incorporate a company is easy. I would say I can incorporate a company within a couple of days. When the physical system was there, I tell you, I formed a company within 45 minutes. 45 minutes. Can you imagine? Within 45 days, 45 minutes. And even in the year of 2000, I incorporated a company in 2 days when the system was manual. So it's very easy nowadays to incorporate a company. But if you ask me to close down a company or close down an LLP, I'll say it may take 20 years. 20 years. It's very difficult, very costly also. Therefore, what I suggest that one should not go for the company, private or public or LLP, from day one. Let me first implement my plans, my ideas through a proprietary concern or partnership firm. Let me settle my feet. Let me have some solid foundation. And then I can have a company later on once I'm so sure that whatever idea I'm putting into effect is really going to be useful. Many of you might have experienced that, yes, I had formed a company, what to do of this company? Can I use this company? I don't have the project. Only remedy is you have to sell the company to someone. But why somebody should take your company? He may have his own company incorporated, because incorporations are easy. As far as the incorporations are easy, friends, see, I discussed with you, government has come out with SPICE Plus form. SPICE Plus is simplified procedure for incorporation of a company electronically. And it is now web-based form. You fill up the form, save it, again fill up the another portion, save it, first apply for the name. But once you decide for the name of the company, just check that whether this name, friends, is not registered with somebody else. You should also see the trademark. See, in the trademark also, there may be the questions. If the trademark is registered in the name of someone else, then don't use that name, because there may be the problems in future. Here I would like to share you the very classical example of Manik Chand. You know the Manik Chand, a gutka used to be in the market, which was very popular. At a later stage in the market, another gutka came in the name of Malik Chand. Same wrapper, same pouch, sachet. same color scheme. In Hindi, in 2 strips or 2 lines, it was written earlier, the original was having the Manik Chand, and he has written Malik Chand. The owners of Manik Chand filed a case against the another party which was selling the gutka in the name of Malik Chand, that he is copying my product, copying my brand, my trademark, therefore I am put to the commercial loss. When the matter was before the court, the owner or the proprietor of Malik Chand Gutka presented a registration document and claimed that Malik Chand brand was registered way back in 1945, much prior to the brand Manik Chand was registered. The court verified the claim and found that the original owner is Malik Chand, not the Manik Chand. You got it? Now what happens? The court passed an order that Manik Chand has to change its brand. It cannot copy the Malik Chand brand. Therefore, it becomes RMD, Rasiklal Manik Chand Dhariwal. This is the abbreviation name. So RMD Gutka was by force of the court order, they have to change their brand. So if you copy some other brand, imitate it, change some spellings, then that party, once you grow, may file a case against you in the court of law. And then you have to start from a fresh, change your brand, which could be very, I'll say, the harakiri for you. Therefore, that should be avoided. Develop your own brand as a startup. Therefore, what I'll suggest that on MCA website, which is mca.gov.in, there is a facility to check the trademark registration. There are around 44 or 45 classes of trademark. First, we should check that class, that my product or my service. 34 classes are of manufacturing and trading of goods. 11 classes are for service. Whether I am in goods or service, then check the particular class and then check whether this trademark is registered in the name of someone else. When we started iCreate, even the iCreate brand, there had been certain objections by some people. And still every second day, I get the journal notification that somebody has applied for iCreate, which we have to defend. Because it's not only I should not copy, but once my brand has become popular, people start copying this. There may be iCreate software. Should I challenge iCreate software? That may be a question. Obviously, see, then somebody is copying a brand, so I have to defend it and write and file an objection before the trademark registry. So that has to be taken. So brand becomes very, very popular measure, you know. Now in the franchisee model of business, it's the brand which sells. You have the Sankalp restaurants. Now Sankalp may not be owned. You have the Taj or you have the Oberais. All these hotels which are there, 5-star hotel, they are having basically selling the brand, nothing else. Hotel is owned by, premises are owned, or you can say the building is owned by someone, it is furnished by someone, some promoter. He takes loan from bank, which he pays, but the brand is of someone else. So you have to pay the commission for royalty for the brand. You have to work on their terms and conditions, and they skim the cream. Therefore, the maximum is develop your own brand. And I'll also suggest you at this stage, should I have this brand in the name of my organization or my individual name? My suggestion would be, if you could have the brand in your individual name so that you are protecting yourself for lifelong. If the brand is mine, there are a number of other investors in my company. I may allow the use of brand which is registered in my name to the company in which I am one of the promoter, along with other investors. And that company or the entity which I had promoted, but it is jointly now owned by the various stakeholders, they have to pay me the royalty. Vadilal, for example, I give you another example. Vadilal Industries Limited is manufacturing ice cream and other milk products. Vadilal Enterprises is selling arm, another company, both are listed companies. And the Vadilal brand is owned by Vadilal International Limited, another company, which is allowing the use. So royalty, what is given by Vadilal Industries Limited, goes to Vadilal International Private Limited, which is owned by the family members. You follow? So therefore, brand has to be very, very selectively registered in the name of the promoter, so that everybody does, because many times brand valuation is not done when I have the investment. I do only the share valuation, not the brand valuation. I lose. See, Have More has sold its Have More brand ice cream business to Lotte at 1020 crore rupees. What is this? Franchise business, basically nothing else. They may not have the immovable property, but the brands. So one should develop brand in business, and you have to develop it from the beginning. So as far as the registration of a startup as a company is concerned, after some time, once your feet are settled, you should go for the company registration. But maybe for first 6 months or 1 year, you can work in a private as a sole proprietor or partnership firm. There are provisions under the Companies Act by which I can convert my partnership into a company also as a going concern. I can convert my LLP into a company, or I can also convert my company into LLP. That's all. Conversions are legally allowed. So that could be resorted. But in the initial stages, see, many times when we incubate the young generation students, they are studying in their 5th year of engineering or IITs or doing MBAs. Few friends join hands, have the startup thinking in mind. Let's have the startup. But after some time, there is a family pressure on one. There is funds requirement to the other person. And out of the team, 2 people leave the organization or leave the entity. Then what happens? What will you run that organization alone? The company, you can't close it. So you will feel that the bell, you are the cat who is wearing the bell and carrying it on forever. So that should not happen. Therefore, let us things be settled, then go for a company, because incorporation of company is easy, but closure is as difficult as you can't imagine. Now, friends, as far as the licenses are concerned, see, licenses are the integral part of any business. Once I form a company, nowadays the PAN card. See, any business entity needs a PAN. If I am a sole entrepreneur, sole organization, sole proprietary concern, I cannot be issued the 2 PAN cards, not allowed. But if I am having HUF, separate PAN card, I am having AOP, again separate PAN card, friends. So there are PAN cards, what you have to take. I have got a partnership, then separate PAN card, company separate PAN card, LLP separate PAN card. It means you are accessible as a separate SSE. And there are different rates of taxation, I would say. Let's also understand the taxation rates, because as I discussed, money saved is money earned. In a normal partnership, I have to pay 30%, whatever the profit is there, no exemption. If I am running a cooperative society, up to 10,000 rupees of annual income of the cooperative society, I have to pay 10%, 10,000 to 20,000, 20%, then about the 20,000, 30%. When I am an individual, normal individual below 60 years of age, working as an entrepreneur, as a sole proprietary concern, I have to pay taxes like an individual up to 2.5 lakhs, no tax of my income. 2.5 lakhs to 5 lakh of income slab, I have to pay 5%. 5 lakh to 10 lakh, I have to pay 20%. And above 10 lakhs, I have to pay 30%. So if I have got income of 10 lakhs, I have to pay 1,12,500. So average tax rate is 11.25%, not 30%. More the SSE you have, you can reduce the tax burden on your enterprise. Therefore, many people have the different enterprises. One in my name, another in my wife's name, third is my son's name. Everybody is an individual. In partnership also you can plan. In partnership, you can pay the salary to the partners. Salary to the partners is deductible expenditure from the business. And once this salary is received by the partners, up to 10 lakhs, they have to pay 1,12,500. So their tax rate is reduced. Your profit is reduced from firm. You have to pay 30% less tax, and they have to pay 11.25% up to 10 lakhs. And if you really want to plan, you can have more number of partners in your partnership business. That can be done. As far as the companies are concerned, friends, on companies also, the tax rates are very different. See, Government of India in last budget, it has provided that if you are engaged into manufacturing activity and have a new company established after 1st October 2019, I have a private limited company engaged into manufacturing activity and company is incorporated after 1st October 2019. I have to pay 15% tax, 15. And if my company is registered prior to 30th September 2019, my turnover is less than 400 crore, I have to pay 25% tax. And if my turnover is more than 400 crore, then I have to pay 30% tax. So these are the three tax slabs. That is the reason why many of the entrepreneurs, I'll say, or the industrialists or the business persons, they have formed for their manufacturing the new companies after 1st October 2019. Because you cannot shift, cannot purchase the old plant and machinery, so you are buying the new machines. But your business, you are shifting to the new entity, new company. Rather than 30% or 25%, you have to pay 15% tax. It's a big, good, very good, I'll say, the decision as a businessman. As a businessman, you know, see, many times you have to save taxes. Why? Many stamp duty and other taxes are state subjects. When the stamp duty is less, why the pharma companies have preferred the hilly locations? It's not so that the chemical or compounds what you use will not get spoiled in the hilly areas. It's not so, but it's the only tax benefits. Why most of the pharma companies of Gujarat have preferred the production base as Himachal Pradesh or Uttarakhand or Jammu and Kashmir, because their tax rates are less as far as the stamp duty and other state duties are concerned. So that's the reason a businessman has to take a call. Where should I have my establishment? Now, once I form a company, friends, in Spice Plus, there is one beauty. PAN card, you can apply simultaneously. Thereafter, you don't have to apply for PAN. So if I am having a private limited company or public limited company or Section 8 company, or I have a OPC, 1% company, then my PAN card, PAN application and TAN application, tax deduction account number, because in business, once you are making payment beyond certain limits, you have also to deduct TDS and deposit. So PAN, permanent account number, tax deduction account number, these two registrations are done parallelly with your incorporation application. Even you have to designate a name of a bank where you are going to open the bank account. Thereafter, bank will approach. Fourthly, even you can have the registration for PF. You can have a registration for EPF. That is also parallelly allowed. Even GST registration, which is optional. If you wish, see, for GST now the limit is 40 lakhs. If your turnover is 40 lakhs, mandatory you have to register. It was 20 lakhs, which is enhanced to 40 lakhs. You have to register as a dealer under GST. And once you are registered, you have to continue to collect the GST for your every invoice and then pay to the government within the designated time to the government what collection you have made. There is also input credit. Input credit means when I buy certain goods or avail certain services, I pay GST. When I invoice, I collect GST. Then whatever input GST I had paid, that got deducted. So my cost is reduced. So many times the business people also get attracted to have the voluntary registration under GST. Voluntary registration. I am not mandated. My turnover is less than 40 lakhs, but I am buying material. I am buying inputs. Those I am paying GST. Otherwise, that's my cost is inflated by 18%. But I am registered. Then when I am invoicing, I am taking, and then I have to pay less. So my cost is reduced. So these are some of the registration. In addition to this, see, GST may be optional, but PAN you will always need. TAN you will always need in the business. PF and other things you have to register yourself, friends. See, any enterprise where there are 10 or more workmen, then many labor laws would be applicable to you. Many labor laws. But it never means that you restrict yourself to maximum 9. Then your growth is checked. Growth is restricted. It's always better to pay taxes and have the comfortable income with you rather than having the income which is unaccounted for. Unaccounted income you have a lot of hassles, because as a businessman, we should always concentrate only on our focus area, that is my production, that is my business, that is my sale, that is my profit making activity, but not on other things. To save taxes, I should not waste my time. I should pay good taxes, because in India, as I discussed, tax rates are very moderate. If in a new company you have to pay 15% tax, you will not find such a less tax anywhere else in the world except in Dubai. In Dubai also nowadays the other taxes have started cropping in. They have started charging. Now friends, in addition to this, see, the most important is even to open your bank account, Shop and Establishment Act registration. Now, as far as the Shop and Establishment Act registration is concerned, that is done with the, what you call in Gujarati, Gumasta Dhara. Gumasta Dhara means how many employees you have. It is what the organization, who is the proprietor, what is the nature of the organization, what are your office timings or work timings, what is your weekly off. All these things you have to get recorded in the corporations. There you have to apply. It's very easy, I would say, not very costly also. A simple form you have to fill up, give the details, you have to give your PAN card, and then once the Gumasta Dhara certificate is issued or the Shop and Establishment Act registration is made, then your bank account could be opened in case of proprietary concern or partnership firm. Otherwise, the authorities, bank, because bank also goes nowadays for KYC. Earlier, banks were after you to open the bank account. Now it takes a big efforts to open the bank account in the name of an entity, because from where you will have the KYC documents. I say I'm a sole proprietor of MC Gupta and Company. I'm MC Gupta, but my organization is MC Gupta and Company. Then what is the proof that MC Gupta and Company, I am the proprietor? So unless I have the Shop and Establishment Act registration from Municipal Corporation and professional tax registration. So from the local authorities, municipal authorities, you should obtain two registrations. One is Shop and Establishment Act registration. Another is the professional tax registration. These two certificates are issued to you. That becomes an evidence that yes, your organization or enterprise name or firm name or your entity name is there, in which then you can open the bank account. As far as the companies are concerned, my certificate of incorporation and PAN card I know get parallelly, so I can open the bank account, no issue. But as far as the informal organizations, it takes a lot of toll, I would say, to have the registration or to open the bank license. As far as the other type of industries are concerned, see, for example, you go for food, you have a restaurant. Now, what type of licenses you need in a restaurant? You want to have the hospital, medical facilities. Then there are different licenses what you need. See, if you are in food or any eatables, obviously the health is the main concern. Therefore, you have to obtain the health licenses from the local municipal corporation. Their officers may come, they will see. You have a lift in your premises, then obviously a lift license has to be renewed. There has to be what type of building you are, fire safety, you should have it. If there is pollution, then obviously pollution control will come up. You are in chemical business, then whether they are effluent treatment properly done or not, effluent treatment plants, all these things are there. There may be the long list, pharma company, there is the Drug and Cosmetics Act, what you have to see. So there are specific laws, and I tell you, in which the best teacher is your neighbor who is in this industry. He will show you the path, he will guide you, he will lead you to the contacts or connect you to the consultants who can get it done on day in and out, who are doing very easily rather than going. As far as the audit is concerned, here I would also like to share with you that as far as the audit is concerned, all companies, whether private, public, OPC, Section 8 producer, they should have the audit by the statutory auditor who is a chartered accountant. If there is no business, no transaction during the year, still the audit has to be done by the auditor, accounts are to be finalized. That's statutory audit. As far as the LLP is concerned, limited liability partnership, if capital contribution is 25 lakhs or more by all the partners, or your turnover is 40 lakhs and above, then you need the auditor. But both the things are lower. My capital contribution by, suppose we are 4 partners, everyone contributes 5 lakhs each. So it is 20 lakhs contribution, number one. So it is less than 25 lakhs. Turnover is 30 lakhs, then I don't need audit. There is another concept what we call tax audit. If my turnover from professional firm or consulting firm is above 60 lakhs, or from business the turnover is more than 1 crore, I have to have the additionally tax audit under section 44AB. That's another audit which comes in sole proprietary, concern, partnership. So once you grow, obviously everything will come to you. And one should not be hesitant in taking head on with all these legal requirements, because I'm earning money. I am in business. So I have to comply with. Therefore, there is a ceiling. What I say, up to 10 employees, you don't need PF. You don't need gratuity. Many labor laws are not applicable up to 10 employees. I can be saved. But therefore, I was very candid when I discussed with you that should I therefore have only 9 employees in my organization? As a businessman, you will start thinking of 3 employees on contractual basis. But labor law says whether the employees on contractual basis, temporary or permanent, everything is to be included who are working for you, whether they are sitting at your place or elsewhere. So whatever salary you are giving, that would be seen. So as far as the licenses are concerned, friends, the licenses are basically, I would say, the licenses are based upon the industries. There are general licenses, what I discussed with you. See, you have the PEN, you have the TEN, you have the PF when more than 10 employees, you have the ESI, you have the other licenses, I'll say the shop and establishment, you have the professional tax registration, and then GST. It is compulsory after 40 lakhs of turnover, but before which it is voluntarily, which you may prefer to have. So these are the basic licenses or the registrations which you require with various authorities, but for which you need some legal document about your organization. If I am in partnership, there should be registered partnership deed. Sole proprietary, there is nothing, but I should have the professional tax registration and shop establishment act registration. If I am a company, the certificate of incorporation, my memorandum and articles of association, my registered office, because as far as the companies are concerned, there is always dissemination of information. There are more than 12 lakh active companies in India. I can find out the detail of any company online, like I could say on the real-time basis. That is possible on mca.gov.in. Who are directors, what are their DIN numbers, even by paying 100 rupees, I may take search. Therefore, when I go and tilt towards formal organization or more towards the formal organization, the secrecy I cannot maintain. Then because my information is already disseminated, it is available on the portal of MCA or some other authorities, which can be viewed by any stakeholder. Therefore, I have to forego my confidentiality. If I am more keen on the confidentiality, I should go for proprietary concern or partnership firm, where a lot of things could be avoided for. Clear? Now, friends, going next, see, is there any role of SEZ, GIDC and special investment regions in startups? Are they eligible to get registration and take the benefit of government schemes? See, as far as the government scheme is concerned, role of SEZ is Special Economic Zone. There is a Special Economic Zone Act. Even in smaller pockets also, like for example, Gandhinagar GIDC, there is also SEZ having only 30,000 square meter of place. Only 6 units have been allotted over there. Now SEZ, earlier I tell you under Income Tax Act, there had been provisions if you are an exporter, 100% income from export activity used to be tax exempt. Whereafter it was phased out in 5 years, 80% tax exempt, then 60% next year, 40%, 20%, and after 5th year, there was nothing. So by 2005 or 6, no incentive for exports, no tax benefits for exports. It was taxed like your domestic income. Then the concept of SEZ was introduced. SEZ is Special Economic Zone. Any unit which is located in SEZ, which is considered to be a foreign unit. Rest of the country is called as domestic tariff area. If I sell some goods or render some services from DTA to SEZ, it is an export for me and it is an import for SEZ. Now, as far as the SEZ is concerned, SEZ has to be net export surplus in 5 years. then only it gets the tax benefits. Then it's tax, no tax. So if your unit, a startup is in SEZ, you can have a startup in SEZ. Now, then for 5 years, there is no tax. Another 5 years, tax rate is 50%. Whatever the tax is applicable, you have to pay 50%. So tax holiday, I'll say, if your unit is located in SEZ for 5 years, no tax. Another 5 years, it is 50% tax you have to pay, then 100%, whatever is liability is there. And another 5 years, if you deposit that tax amount into a separate bank account, then you get 50% rebate. So that's as far as the SEZ is concerned. But see, this concept is now going to be phased out, I tell you very frankly, because 2005 this started, 15 years are getting over, so less people are entering into. But this 15 years is not getting over, but the startup, earlier the people who had entered into this, they have availed. Now friends, here, if you recall, see, let us also discuss from the business model how the taxation do affect the businesses. There had been multiplexes. From single theater, we shifted to the multiplexes. All single theater screens have been vanished. Everything was converted into multiplex, where 4 screens, 5 screens, 6 screens, 3 screens were there. Now, suddenly you will find like FR, Fun Republic in Ahmedabad on satellite. Now, that is now demolished, which was one of such organization, I will say not organization, but an entity where the multiplexes were there. That has been demolished, and now there is a residential accommodations have been constructed. Why? See, there was a policy by the government, state government, that if you are having a multiplex, you are exempt from the payment of the entertainment tax for 10 years, tax holiday. That is the reason. Suppose in single theater screen, your movie ticket is of 100 rupees, 50 rupees goes to the state government as an entertainment tax, 50 rupees remain with the theater owner, out of which his cost is to be obviously whatever the film charges and everything he has to pay, his staff, admin cost and everything. Now what happens? For 10 years, there was no entertainment tax if you are having multiplex. So all single theaters were converted. For 10 years, your 100 rupee movie ticket was raised to 200 rupee for the better facilities, better ambience, better comfortable sitting arrangements. And that 200 rupee you save yourself. So rather than 50 rupee, you started earning 200 rupee. Now this 10-year period is already over. That is the reason why again it is being demolished. So as far as this special benefits, see, you have the many time backward area benefits which are given, subsidies are given. Why somebody is giving you the subsidy, why government is giving you the subsidy? The reason is there. If you are getting the subsidy, it means you have to take some pains. As I discussed earlier, that there is no free lunch in the world. If I am taking pains, I have to staff for the skilled labor. I am located away from the raw material, then my transportation cost is increases just to develop the no district area, no industry district or no industry area. I am taking more pains for which I am being compensated through the subsidies. That's the basic concept of the subsidy, what we call the capital investment subsidy. So startups are also eligible. As far as the startups are concerned, you have to register as a startup with the DIPP. You have to register with the Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion under the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Then only you could be qualified for certain benefits. Therefore, all startups should make an application. Application may be online. Here, I would also advise that you can also register as MSME under MSMED Act, Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Act 2006. We should register because there is a provision under section 6 of that act. If I am registered as MSME, because where most of you as a startup would be in a position to do it, then obviously friends, in MSME, when you supply certain goods or you render certain services, then the payment has to be made within the agreed credit terms or 45 days, whichever is shorter. If my credit term is 30 days, my buyer has to pay me within 30 days, not beyond 45 days. If I give 90 days credit, then 90 days credit has no meaning. He has to make me the payment within 45 days. and any payment or any delayed payment beyond the agreed term or 45 days, he has to pay me 3 times of the bank rate. It means 18% interest. He is under legal obligation to pay me. I can file a civil suit against him and recover. Therefore, all buyers or purchasers, when they buy from MSME units, they have to ensure that they will make the payment within maximum 45 days or earlier if the credit term is of earlier. Therefore, just to get the survival or just to give the survival to these all units, registration on MSME is become very, very beneficial, by which you are not putting to loss, or if there is a delayed payments, you get interest compensation at the rate of 18% per annum, which is not the market rate. It says 3 times of the bank rate they have to pay you. Therefore, this again becomes very important from that angle. Now, friends, next when we discuss as far as the labor laws are concerned, what I had already discussed, that as far as the Factories Act is concerned, if you are engaged into the manufacturing, there is labor of more than 10 or 20, then there are welfare measures and all those things are applicable. But if you are in trading, Factories Act will not be applicable. If you are in processing, then obviously Factories Act may be applicable if you are having more than 10 workforce. But then obviously a lot of things depending on the whether you need a canteen. So under Factories Act 1948, there are different provisions by which you should have the different measures. I'll say the safety measures or the welfare measures, or whether do you need for the woman employees crash, but that will not come for the startup, because once only you grow, you are of that size, then only all these things will come up. But as far as the other labor laws is concerned, that may be applicable. As I discussed, the basic threshold limit is 10 employees or 10 workmen, what they call it. Now, as far as the trademark and the patents are concerned, see, as far as the startups are concerned, you have your provisional specifications. You have filed your provisional specification application with the patent, as I discussed, because as a startup, if you are really into inventions, then obviously you will like to protect whatever work you have done. So you can make a patent application, and patent application for, see, all these laws are Indian laws, but under the WTO, you can make it the convention application to be your patent to be registered in different convention countries from India itself, but you have to pay the fee of those countries, but single application will do. So provisional specifications you can file with, the your application, provisional application. Once you further progress, then obviously the complete specifications you can file, your patent may be registered. It takes around 2 to 3 years of time to complete this process. It may be very costly also. There are certain patent attorneys, as I discussed, I share with you very frankly. See, to register a trademark may not be very costly, but to defend another applications which are coming and published in the trademark journal, every such application you have to pay from your notes. Therefore, like patent also, see, registration is not very costly, but if somebody is copying, then defense will become very costly. Your car may be easy, but spare parts are costly. So one has to be very careful. But see, at what stage should I go for patent registration is again very important. I should go for provisional specification. Now there is one question which says that for any reason we do not want to wish to continue, can this be transferable? See, transferable may be through an agreement, private agreement, because it is not registered in my name. I cannot give the official purpose for this, but because it is my property, it is my asset, which I can transfer through an agreement. So you can give the right to use to someone else and transfer. There should not be any problem on this issue. There are provisions for this. Now, the another question, which is that how we can get it funded. See, as far as the funding is concerned, the major source of funding, as I discussed, normally every new enterprise or entrepreneur, they are dearth of funds. We are the first generation promoters in the startups. We may not have the even savings. And if you have savings, you need for your household expenses also. Now the question is from where you will get the fund. Therefore, I discussed that if you go to the bank, they will ask the security, they will ask for collaterals which you do not have. Therefore, if you are more than one person, you have some partner who is joining hands, have the proper documentation, have the proper founders agreement, everybody brings the money. In financial management, we call it debt equity ratio. If I invest 10 lakh rupee, my borrowing capacity is 20 lakh. So total project would be 30 lakhs. 2:1 is the standard, I'll say the debt equity ratio. Now I take another partner, he brings 10 lakh. So our capital is 20 lakhs. With him, he also brings additional 20 lakhs borrowing capacity, like me. So my 20 lakhs of capital, 40 lakhs of borrowing, it becomes 60 lakhs project. I take one more. He also brings 10 lakh. He brings additionally 20 lakhs of borrowing capacity. You can have 90 lakhs. So to have the better borrowing capacity, we can have the more number of partners. But one has to be very selective, very choosy while deciding on a partner. It is like life partner. When you are getting married, then obviously you will go to the astrologer, have your horoscope, will consult, have the dating, and after having dating for months, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months or 1 year, then you will decide that now I can settle with such person and spend my rest of the life comfortably. What happens? That's a different issue at a later stage. Now the friend's question is, likewise, if you are joining hands with some person, outside person for the business, you should also go to the astrologer and check whether this person will suits with you, will sit with you, will be comfortable for you, because more time you are going to spend is with your business partner rather than the life partner. Therefore, one has to be very, very careful. Why? Now, what are the other sources? As I discussed on initially, we should much more dependent upon, I'll say, the equity contribution rather than debt, because debt has the interest burden. It needs collateral, which you don't have. Therefore, who can have the faith in my project, let them contribute the equity. And for contribution of the equity, as I discussed, if your project is good, you are selected by an incubator, you can go for it. For the startups, there is 10 lakh scheme started by the government of India. You can apply and maybe some fund may come to you from such a scheme. So always keep your eyes open, brain open, read lot of literature. What are the sources? Get connected to any of the incubators. They are having knowledge on this field, and then you can get the subsidies or you can get the funding as a startup. Secondly, you can also take loan from, if it is an informal organization, you can take loan from partners or your friends and relatives. But as far as, suppose you have started, you have a venture as a private limited company, even you can't take loan from your friends and relatives, only directors and directors' relatives. And the definition of relative is also very limited. It says the father, mother, brother, sister, son, daughter, son's wife, daughter's husband, and spouse. That's all. 9 people. You can take loan from out of their own funds. Even you can also give as a director or promoter to the company only out of your own funds, not out of the borrowing under Companies Act Section 73. Now, friends, here one thing I would like to see, if you are registered with DIPP as a startup, then it has specifically permitted that if you take in a single tranche 25 lakh rupee or more through convertible notes, which are converted not beyond a period of 5 years in a single tranche from any person, you can take it. So if somebody is willing to give you a loan for a period of not more than 5 years and you are registered as a startup, he can give, provided it is in a convertible note. Convertible note means it would be convertible into equity within a period of not more than 5 years. So special relief has been given under Section 73 of the Companies Act by Ministry of Corporate Affairs by amendment in the Companies Acceptance of Deposit Rules 2014. So that is also available. Then obviously you can go for the bank loans. When you go for the buying of the machines for the manufacturing or production, then obviously you can take the loan on those machines with some margin money you bring in. So that is, and then obviously you can issue the equity to more people. You can have the venture funding, you can have the angel investors. Angel investor is also a very big community. Many industrialists, I would say, they are promoting such startups when they see good value. Even many startups they are funding. Even Narayan Murthy himself is also funding from his personal funds. I've seen many of the entrepreneurs, they just ask if there is a good startup. I recall in IIM Ahmedabad CI initiative, one gentleman was there from US. He was like a consultant to CI initiative at IIM. He says, if you do not take this project, I'll put my money into this project. So they are taking personal bets once they find that this project is good and it has the very good promise, or it is having the promising future, then obviously they do invest their funds. See, the whole game is they have a trust in you, they have a trust in your project, enter and invest, enter in your organization as an investor at a lower valuation, take exit at a higher valuation when somebody else comes or real investor comes at a later stage. That is the role of the incubator or angel investor. They go out so that they can make money and they can help you. So that's a very good whole, I'll say, the whole ecosystem has been developed over a period of time. There are certain groups which can help you to take the funds, and ultimately the banks and institutions which are always there as the lenders. Loan from NBFC is very costly, I would say. So rather than going to the private parties, let's go for the loan to the established institutions and the banks which are in the public sector. That would be much better for you. So friends, these were some of the questions. We may now, moderator Mr. Deep Mehta can have more questions, then I would be pleased to answer. I once again thank you, the Swarrnim Startup and Innovation University. See, there was a MOU signed between the Institute of Company Secretaries of India and the university, under which I had been requested to have deliberations with you and share my views. Hope my deliberations would be very useful. The subject is vast. Each topic, each question is very vast. We can talk for hours together, but still, as a startup, what you should know, more things could follow. So I once again thank you, the Swarrnim Startup and Innovation University, for providing me this opportunity to have an interface with you and share my views. Thank you. Thanks once again.
Sir, I personally wish this session could continue till next 3-4 hours. Because the feedbacks which we are getting on the Facebook, it reaches to the thousands of people. And let me tell you, sir, your sessions is, we got the feedback, is enriching and very educating for the budding entrepreneurs and the students. Why? Because I am sharing you the reasons. The latest examples which you have shared, like Havmore, Manikchand and the Vadilal, then some of the very important quotes which you have discussed here, that money saved is a money earned. Let my feet get settled first during the initial startup. The best teacher is your neighbor. And the PPF, EPF, GST registration, PAN card, and lot more examples you have given. And for the opening of the bank account, the Shops and Establishment Act, professional tax registration, then the lift license, then the Pollution Control Board role, for the pharmacy, drugs and cosmetic laws, fire NOC, then the difference between LLP, private limited, public limited, and the partnership firms. And you mentioned about the major source of funding. Sir, I am finding these sessions extremely important for all the educational professionals, incubation centers, incubators, incubatees, budding entrepreneurs, and all the startup fraternity who wanted to have an establishment startup. Sir, because we are reviewing the projects of the many youngsters these days, and as you have mentioned rightly, when they are at the 5th semester or the 6th semester of their engineering, and let the 2 or 3 friends have decided to do something, and out of their curiosity they jump into any business idea, but how much that will continue in the long future, the business model, the viability, the sustainable growth, that really is a issue which the important points which they need to understand and think very carefully before they start any business. On behalf of Swarrnim Startup and Innovation University, sir, I would like to present and warm thank you to you for sparing your valuable time and sharing your inputs through your rich and notable experience to our youngsters and through our Facebook Live. Within 2 days, sir, it reaches to more than 15,000. Our last 3-4 sessions have been reaches to more than 15,000 participants, and we are putting this to on our YouTube channels. Through YouTube way also it goes to the many people, and we are also planning to share to the incubation center across the India our all the sessions, so it benefits not restricted to our Gujarat region only, but it goes and spread to the India also. So sir, thank you so much for sharing your valuable knowledge. Here I would like to convey one more update to our audience. January 2 and 3rd, we are coming up with the brand festival. We have associated Swarrnim Startup and Innovation University is associated as an academic partner. January 28, 29 and 30, we have associated with CIMSME and Startup India for the Global Innovation Summit, where more than 700 innovation incubation centers across the world are going to participate. Speakers across 30 plus countries are going to participate. It is my humble request to all the budding entrepreneurs and incubation centers, incubatees, educational professionals to take the maximum advantage of the Swarrnim talk, which we take the initiatives, we call the eminent speakers on board and have the discussion on the each element of the startup for the general benefit of the society and the startup fraternity. Thank you so much, sir, for your sharing your valuable time. Thank you so much.